This is Cast of Wonders, the young adult fiction podcast featuring stories of the fantastic. Welcome to Camp Myth. Chapter 8, November 13th, 2013. Welcome back, campers. Are you ready for our next chapter? Last week, our trio arrived at Camp Myth, only to be separated by the appearance of Brontes and Tessa, two of the camp's senior counselors. Looks like Felix is on his own again. I wonder what's in store for him next. Now let me see, where were we? Yes.
Camp Myth, Phoenix Watching, by Chris Lewis Carter. Chapter 8. Camp Myth was a paradise. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't stop thinking about my encounter with Brontes and what Argy and Moxie must have been going through, but it was impossible not to get swept up in the majesty of the campgrounds. For starters, even though we were standing on top of what should have been a cold, dark mountain above the clouds, the sky here was a beautiful azure blue.
There is no need to worry about the weather,
I heard Loam say as I caught up with my tour group.
This region is protected by a climate-controlled aura.
He was right. If you looked hard enough, you could see the horizon bend towards the outer edges of the crater like a bowl placed over the entire camp. But it wasn't just the sky that looked amazing. Trees and plants from all over the planet were growing here, scattered everywhere like the world's biggest greenhouse. A maple tree here, a palm tree there, a willow tree here, a cactus there, tulips and sunflowers, roses and tiger lilies. If it existed, I bet you could find it around somewhere. I heard what sounded like clopping hooves and turned to see a group of centaurs galloping across a field of lush grass. One of them shouted, "Last one to the Hunter's Haven is a two-legger," and they all sprinted away, whooping and laughing.
Centaurs,
Loam said calmly.
Always running, always competing.
A little further up we came to the lake I'd seen overhead from the bus. The water had an emerald hue, and there were various paddle boats and canoes tied to a small dock. We watched as what looked like 3 human girls swam towards us, then shot out of the water and did 2 complete backflips. Their scaly green tails briefly sparkled in the sunlight, and they returned to the water with a small splash.
Sirens. They cannot resist showing off. They crave attention,
Loam stated.
In addition, Leviathan Lake accommodates several other aquatic cultures, including mer, naiads, and nagas.
As we continued our tour, more and more incredible creatures passed by. Lanky beasts covered in thick white fur. Girls with bronze-coloured wings sticking out of their backs. Kids with coiled snake tails instead of legs. The only thing they seemed to have in common was the same white t-shirt with a picture of the Camp Myth logo on the front. Some of the shirts had different coloured shoulders, but all of the campers wearing them looked a bit older, so I guessed it had something to do with how many years they'd been enrolled. We passed by a kitsune girl who was holding a cell phone above her head. "Hey Golem, I can't get any reception up here," she declared.
Yes, that is correct,
Loam said.
All incoming and outgoing electronic signals have been blocked. Policy dictates that all campers keep their interactions with man-made technology to a minimum. This is intended to help you rediscover your mythic roots.
Perfect, she muttered, then snapped the phone shut and stormed off. Loam pointed to a large silver disc that was hidden amongst the grass like a fancy manhole cover.
That is one of the many entrances to the Warrens, a series of tunnels that run beneath the grounds. They are a popular living space for some of our more subterranean races,
he explained.
And over there is Althea's thinking rock.
He motioned to a flat slab of stone that was bathed in sunlight. I noticed a few blue-tinted feathers scattered around the area. "Who's Althea?" someone asked.
She is the smartest one,
he replied.
Much smarter than the rest of us. Sometimes she tells me riddles, but I do not understand them. They require imagination.
Next, Loam brought us to a large red barn.
That is the bestiary,
he said.
It houses the majority of both our newborn and especially wild creatures. Lillian currently holds residence there as well.
Lil lives there? A Fey girl said, then giggled.
She holds residence in the bestiary, yes,
Loam repeated.
But that is upon her request. She once told me it helped her feel more at home.
Up ahead was the only area not covered in greenery. It was a large cobblestone circle filled with broken statues that all looked eerily similar to Loam. One had only half a head, while another had a badly cracked leg. Some were missing entire limbs or had huge chunks of rock missing from their bodies. I hated to admit it, but compared to the rest of the camp, this area was a real eyesore.
This is the statuary, built to honor past golems that have faithfully served Camp Myth. Each one is just an empty vessel now, but their contributions will echo through these grounds forever.
Loam patted one of the statues on the shoulder, and the arm snapped and crashed to the ground, shattering into a million fragments. The entire tour group jumped back and gasped.
Do not be alarmed. I will fix him.
This place is a mess, someone at the back of the group shouted. Loam picked up a piece of rubble, examined it, then gently placed it at the broken golem's feet.
You are not the first creature to speak poorly of my home, but I do not mind. Many previous golems had been disposed of before my arrival, but I requested the others remain here. My master is very kind, so he allowed me to create this statuary. It is important that we remember them.
For the first time, Loam's voice lost the smallest hint of its emotionless tone, but it didn't last.
There is one last stop on our tour,
he said.
Follow me. I will show you to your cabins.
I listened to the steady rumble of Loam's heavy footsteps as we finished walking the rest of the grounds. Despite everything we'd just learned, there was still one question he hadn't answered. I pushed my way to the front of the group and said, Loam, can I ask you something?
Yes,
he replied.
That is acceptable.
Thousands of different plants, oxygen, warmth. What could be capable of creating an aura like this? Even we don't have magic this powerful in the Grove.
All of your questions have the same answer.
He pointed across the field to the gigantic tree with millions of growing leaves.
It is because of the Paradexian tree, the last of its kind. Without it, this land would be desolate.
Before I could ask more, we reached a long row of cabins, and Loam flipped back into tour guide mode.
Males of your species will be staying in cabin 9. Females of your species will be staying in cabin 10. Please go inside and locate your assigned bunks. There you will find your uniform, living supplies, and a copy of the Mythic Youth Training Handbook. It will provide you with information on all aspects of camp life. Once you are ready, you are free to visit the Paradexian tree, where the welcome banquet will soon begin. Do all of you understand this information?
There was total silence. Loam stared blankly for a moment, then said,
This completes my obligation to provide a tour for the passengers of Bus 26, awaiting further orders at the statuary.
With that, his eyes flickered from orange to blue, and he lumbered off in a straight line towards his destination with no concern over who or what was blocking his path. A group of redcaps playing on a nearby tyre swing scurried out of the way just in time before he hooked the tyre with his arm and dragged the entire structure with him across the camp. Hi everyone, Felix here. Would you like to join us here at Camp Myth? Show us how you're enjoying the story so far, and our favourite entry will entitle the winner to join Moxie, Argy and me, Felix, in a future Camp Myth story. Any type of entry is fine. Drawings, stories, poems, photographs. How about a video of you singing Centaur Races? Submit them by December the 31st of this year, 2013, to campmyth@castofwonders.org. Hope to see you.
week's Camper Spotlight is Ruth Liz, child of the Warrens. Felix says, "To be honest, most redcaps are complete lunatics. Not Ruth, though. She's a real sweetheart. In fact, she's even invited me to visit the Warrens to look at her collection of gold pieces from medieval castle vaults. She even has an antique knife that she really wants to show me. I'm going to give her this drawing as a thank you. What a nice girl." Ruth was invented by Dean Fierce. You can find the picture of her on the Camp Myth webpage. Cast of Wonders could use your help. We love bringing you free stories every week, but we can't do it without you. Please consider donating at castofwonders.org, where you'll find buttons via PayPal for regular or one-time donations. Or you can help spread the word about us and our Camp Myth project on Facebook or Twitter, or by writing us a review on iTunes. There's a lot of ways that you can show your love for our tales of the fantastic. Camp Myth Phoenix Watching is a Cast of Wonders production brought to you by Wolfsbane Publishing, and it features the voice talents of Kate Baker, Adam Black, Tina Connolly, Graham Dunlop, Christiniana Ellis, Marguerite Kenner, Alethea Contis, Alistair Stewart, Ian Stewart, and Barry J. Northern. You can learn more about the world of Camp Myth at our website, castofwonders.org. Our weekly episodes are released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Share it, but don't change it or sell it, please. The Camp Myth theme music, August, is by Cast of Wonders' favorite musical artist, Alexei Nov, from musicalley.com. Thanks for listening.